Hey guys, this is Ben with Minutes till Minutemen here to talk to you about the prepared civilian and the Minuteman, how to become both, how to balance one with the other. This is just a basic outline of things that you need, different areas of things to focus on. This is not an all-inclusive video, but just to help you set the foundation. Video will help you if you don't know where to start. There's definitely a lot to dive in here in the preparedness realm, and especially if you're not only trying to build sustainment, which we'll talk about, but also other capabilities and armaments. We will hopefully be able to help guide you through this. Just at least the foundation gets you off your feet, and then on your own you can build off of these. But I just have a little outline here to hopefully help you start. So, getting off into it, let's start. The first thing that's quite important is to make sure that not only when you're thinking about all these things, not only are you thinking about them for yourself and your group, but also being able to deny it to the enemy, your adversaries, whoever that might be, especially if this is in a kinetic situation, volatile time, not in a peacetime. Just things to think about there. Things like resources, how to keep them for yourself, but also how to either take them from your adversary, especially if you're a guerrilla force, how to rely on, or how to not rely on your own routes of supplies being always open, but if you don't have a sustainable way to get resources, to be able to get that by other means. Drone defense, how to use drones offensively for ISR capabilities, but also we have seen in Ukraine that drones can be used to take down other drones, so there's that. And then signature reduction, how to get your signature reduced, especially when you're out in the field or held up in a bug out location, but also how to notice that and see different signals and signs like lights, if your adversary is using lights or campfire or things like that, trash, smells, stuff like that. Second point here, this is the outline is just groups of things that you need, but I want you to also be thinking about each of these specific things are not only the equipment. So like for food, for instance, you have actual canned goods, but also skills. So like for that same thing, where are you going to keep that food, or how are you going to write down the information, have a little booklet for when things get bad of how to make your own food. So I want you to be thinking about that as we go through both those things, as we go through this outline here. I kind of hold this. I don't know if there's anybody else out there that likes doing this, but I would like to trying to keep at least 1/3 of the sustainment supplies that I have to be able to be moved quickly. This is if you need to bug out. Obviously, it's impractical to be able to carry everything with you in a moment's notice, but we should definitely have a bug out location where hopefully we can keep the food and other supplies, but if we don't, and as in my case, that it's able to be just grabbed either in a bag or a bin to be loaded into the car and then to be brought with you. This is not a LARPer kind of thing. It's not a, oh, we're gonna leave our families behind and go run out into the woods and camp out there. That's very unpractical. We're totally not about that here, and we're trying to cut through the gun culture and the LARPing culture of that. It's pretty flipped to what it should be. But a couple years ago, it was all about ditching your family and grabbing your gear and going and living in the woods for months on end. So Obviously, that's not practical, and we are about not fantasy, but about protecting those we love. That's why we do this. So there's that. Again, do not be discouraged if you don't have all this stuff. I definitely don't have everything on this list, but I am trying to acquire things. And also, once you have something, you can always build onto it. When you have a 3-month supply of food, go ahead and get a 6-month supply after you get other things to make a baseline, and then get a year's worth of supplies. So just something to think about there. All right, we're going to go on to a little chart here. This was from Brass Facts on YouTube. This is just a pyramid of WROL, without rule of law. It is kind of a all-encompassing chart here for just understanding the situations that could happen. The bottom tier there, the biggest tier, is rule of law. So there's still police, there's still law enforcement, there's still rules and laws being enforced. So this is like what we're in now, basically, of concealed carry, just building up supplies, defending your home. Nothing offensive at all about this. Being able to maybe take care of yourself in a car accident, but nothing that's bigger, like in your community or in the actual nation or world. Then the local disruption is kind of just more in your community. So this could be disaster that could happen. It could be maybe like a protest or a riot that's gone on for a couple days where things start getting kinetic and violent, that you need to think about defending yourself on a more open terrain. Basically, a little bit more offensive, but not really offensive, I would say. Regional disruption, this is where grocery stores would probably be not getting stocked. Stores would not be open. You would see deaths here. A lot of kinetic situations here, but not full on like massacring, just kind of a situation where you're definitely going to need to be able to protect yourself and have overt things like kit and plate carriers and rifles out, that kind of thing. And then we have systemic degradation. Sorry. This is like completely full offensive, like Minuteman kind of stuff. So you're out in the woods, you're LARPing, but for realsies, because your friend just got shot on Saturday, kind of thing. Not fun, but it's a possibility for sure, but obviously not as likely, anywhere close as likely as the other tiers, but still a possibility. So that's why we prepare for it, right? And then systemic collapse. That's like the end of the world, just complete nuclear Armageddon, that kind of thing. So why do I have this chart here? Just to show you the different situations that are possible. And what we're trying to do here is not just prepare you for one tier, so like regional disruption or systemic degradation, right? Which a lot of people do or are trying to push that to get money and to get views and stuff is, oh, buy this kit, buy this gear. Don't care about sustainment, don't care about food, just care about the guns and shooting people. And yeah, that's not good. We're trying to be able to cover all the bases here. And yeah, just trying to help you guys through that. All right, so this is my chart here. The 3 main categories that you should be looking into as Minuteman, as prepared civilian, is sustainment. So yeah, we'll get into that, but kit and comms. So all this can be expounded upon, but we're just kind of try to keep it basic here. This can go for your group. You could have shared sustainment stuff, but that's really for you to decide. This is supposed to be more modular for you to be proactive in how you want to use these things. Just to outline, really. So sustainment water, you should be able to have stored water and be able to filter water. So once that stored water is used up, you move right into water filtration. For food, you have stored food. You should have at least 1 year of stored food for everyone. So if you have a 4-person family, that should be a year for each person. Also, side note on that, if morally, I think it would be good for us to start also preparing for other people as well, like neighbors and things like that, because it shouldn't be once you have a year worth of food or whatever your max is, you should be like, all right, I'm done. I'm good for food right now. You should constantly be thinking about preparing yourself and your family primarily, but then once that is covered, for you to be able to then go to your mag, but then also for those that might not be as prepared. Obviously, use discernment with that, but that's really what will be able to bring culture and society back together once things do fall apart. So after the stored food, we can go to planting. All this, there's going to be a trend here of having things prepared, so that's basically what prepping is, but then for you to be able to have the knowledge to continue that once these things run out, so that you don't get a year and a half into things and starve to death because you had food preps, but you didn't know how to plant food after all those were gone. So there's that. Side note on the planting, you should be able to plant inside and outside for weather change and 365 days. So you could have like a greenhouse or a garden and your basement with the special blue lights. I forget what they actually are called, but there's that. Moving on to power, you should be able to make your own electricity. So that's solar, wind turbines, that kind of thing, small wind turbines, but solar is probably your best bet on that for long-term sustainment. I mean, I guess you could have a generator, but that obviously runs out of gas fairly quickly. You can use fire to cook. That's also another option. There are some technologies to make fire and use that to make electricity. And then same thing for gas, like I just said. Good to cook with, good to run things with, but it will run out eventually. Unlike fire, you can always get wood for most of the U.S., except for, some areas don't have a lot of forests or trees. So there's that. It's just by your location. And then, all right, last thing for sustainment, medical prescriptions. So obviously those expire. So I don't invest a lot into that because I know that they expire. I don't want to buy hundreds and thousands of dollars worth of prescriptions if they just go bad. And then herbal remedies. A lot of people say herbal stuff doesn't work. I don't agree with that. It obviously doesn't do anywhere close, sometimes in some areas, to actual prescriptions and actual like modern medicine, but it can still help with colds, infections, and things like that. All right, we're going to move over to kit. So this is more offensive. Sustainment was more about helping you through pretty much every single tier. Now, kit is more of when kinetic stuff starts to happen, that you're able to have the defense of your home and your group, but also this would be used for offensive use as well. So we have gear. So just some basic stuff here. Obviously, helmets, boots, pants, like camo stuff, different loadouts, that kind of thing. But plate carrier, chest rig, assault pack, so you can carry your ammo, water, probably not food, honestly, maybe a couple snacks. But if you're out there in the field for a little bit, you don't really need food. And then we have one 1 to 3 line gear. So that's just basically the different layers of gear that you have. So like your clothing's one layer or one line. Then you can have your belt with your pistols and your some medical, and then you have your third line. So like, yeah, that can be like your actual plate carrying stuff. Basically, if you ditch one line of gear, you want the most important stuff, or some of the most important stuff, to be able to be closest to you. So, say you get ambushed and you need to disguise into civilian population. You ditch some of your gear. Say you have a t-shirt, black t-shirt, and some sweatpants on under your camis, and then you can kind of just fade into the abyss, so you don't get caught and fight another day. Um, we have ammo, suggested 1,000 rounds. It would be best if it's 1,500 rounds for each weapon system you have, and then reloading so that you can learn how to reload. Obviously, if there is kinetic situation and there are stores and manufacturing sites that are closed, this will become critical for keeping your guns running. We have firearms, so this can be your concealed carry, or it can be your full AR-15, Carl Gusev kind of thing. But we definitely want a reliable gun with training versus many subpar guns that you don't train with. It's best to have one AR that runs really well that you train with, then have 10 ARs that are from PSA that have no sight on them. So those won't do you any good in this situation. So just bite the bullet and spend it all. Spend more money on a good, reliable gun. That's basically what that is. What that comes down to. Drones. Now, this has been popping off in Ukraine, and we have learned a lot since then that this is a new technology that can absolutely be used in warfare. ISR, so intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance. This is just trying to find out what your enemy is doing, or the battle tracking of the battlefield. These drones are they don't usually deliver any payloads, so no bombs, but they usually are very critical to the command staff who are making the assaults, who are tracking the battle. So these are very important assets that you can use, and also try to take them out as you see them. They can also be delivery vehicles. They can bring payloads, bring bombs. We've seen FPV drones with RPG warheads attached to them that just play around with soldiers on the ground and then detonate into them. So this is a very effective means of taking out enemies as well as enemy vehicles. Spending a couple $1,000s on a drone, destroying hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of dollars worth of, especially with the Abrams, millions of dollars worth of military vehicles and tanks. So this is a very effective way. definitely take these out as soon as you can. These are no joke, especially with our being smaller, not being a full-fledged military. We are more concerned about, or sorry, more full-fledged. We're not the military, we're a militia, so we're very much so concerned about individuals as well as the command as we get bigger, but try to take these out. And lastly, thermal and NVGs. These also have been shown to be a game changer in warfare. Back in the day, we would have flares in World War One, and there wouldn't really be a ton of fighting at night, at least masses of soldiers. Obviously, there was some sneaky guys in no man's land, but thermals and NVGs have basically turned everything into day, and it's even easier to see heat signatures and stuff like that. So that's something that you definitely need for the modern battlefield and the modern Minuteman. There are multiple different kind of devices, some that you mount on your rifle, some that you hold in your hand, and some that you mount on your helmet. So just something like that. They also have bridge mounts where you can put night vision next to thermal, and they also have clip-on thermal devices that you can put on your normal analog night vision. So that's something to look into. They're very expensive, but they also are something that you could definitely use, and they would definitely change the outcome of the battlefield for sure. We also need accessories for this. IR illuminators, reflecting thermal reflection kit. So this is like anti thermal blankets, that kind of stuff. Again, this is going back to what we were talking about how having something that you can use, but also to deny the enemy. This is a really big area where you need to invest time in researching what to use and what to get to deny the enemy that the signature that you output. And lastly, comms. This is very important, especially when it's more than just you and your pals, that you are able to talk to command staff and to go on missions and relay information, whether you're being attacked or anything like that. Definitely very important. And this also is like sustainment, where this can be used in all tiers of rule of law, without rule of law. This is definitely something that you can use and test and practice with, and when the time comes for you to use it for realsies. Let's see. VHF, UHF, this is digital and analog. This is kind of like as of a couple years ago, this was the only way to really communicate with radio signals. But as the times has gone on, and as technology has progressed, we have been able to use different things on this for encryption. JS8 call is something that you can use, but it's not encrypted. None of these are encrypted. FCC regulates that. About using encryption on a regular VHF, UHF kind of frequencies. It's possible, obviously. It's just legally not possible for now. But yeah, JSA call. It's a software digital calling scheme. It's almost like you can send messages and it'll convert it into radio frequency, and then it'll get picked up by other people that are using JSA call, and it'll convert it in the software to what text it is. This is not to send a book, but to just shoot out quick messages and to see who else is on the mesh. Or it's not a mesh, sorry. But who else is listening in. Let's go to encrypted text messaging. There are two main ones that are around the world. It's WhatsApp and Signal. These are encrypted, and they're really good for kind of like the bottom level of definitely not volatile, definitely not violence, but still a little bit hairy situations that you might come in. No offensive things happening, but this can prevent, or at least help mitigate the risk of your traffic and communications being intercepted by governments or militaries or anything like that. This is when we still have cellular networks and stuff like that. And then the last one, the middle one here, is self-sustaining mesh network, comm network. This is hopefully something that we can get more into in later videos, but there's Meshtastic, and there are other options, but there's one that sticks out to this community, and that's Beartooth. Those units are very expensive, Beartooth. They work really well. They are commercially available, plug and play, but it is very expensive, and it still has some hindrances that Meshtastic does. So Meshtastic, you can build your own. Actually, you pretty much have to build your own. In the later months and years, people will probably start making kits for you to buy, but this is pretty much build your own, and that's bad if you don't want that. But if you're okay with building your own, you can tailor it to your needs, which is really cool. It is pretty cheap, from around $60 to $120, depending on what you get, and if you want to include things like GPS and other sensors. These use a Bluetooth connection to your phone, these devices, and using the Meshtastic app, you can send text messages through this. Mesh networks are basically networks that use all the devices in concert with each other, and they're able to send messages to all devices throughout the mesh, and as long as they're connected, one device is connected to another, it can get messages from all the devices no matter where they are. So as long as they're connected to other devices, then they can communicate. So this is where it is. This is kind of the basics, the baseline of stuff to get, and again, definitely not it's not limited to this. This is just kind of the basic outline for you guys to look at and kind of aim your sights for different aspects of sustainment kit in communications, and to be able to start building this off for yourself and for your group. Thanks for watching this video. If you got all the way to the end, thank you. I'm trying to get better at video making and make things more entertaining, and just give you more stuff to learn, and trying to teach well, and trying to convey my thoughts well. If you have any comments or questions, or tell me how I did good or did bad, please leave those in the comments, and please subscribe. Going to try to make more videos like this to help you guys out. So like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.